Early Gold Medal Vintage Paperbacks, Part 2, number 111 to 150. Hi, I'm Gary Levisi, and we're going to look at the early gold medal books. This is Part 2 of a continuing series. Back in episode number 56, we did the first 10 gold medals, along with number 99 and 100, the books that previewed the series as trial runs for that series. The gold medals were published by Fawcett Publications, who published a lot of magazines, comic books, and all kinds of publications. And in 1950, they got into the original paperback market with paperback originals, books that were published for the first time in paperback, and they were true first editions. They reprinted, some of the books were reprints over the years. They did first paperback printings, but generally most of them were paperback originals. And then they reprinted the books with, early on, they reprinted some of the books with new cover art, with the same date of publication and the same number. So there's variants on some of the books on the early part of the series, and I'm going to show you a couple of them here, and show some nice ones. I have from 111 to 150, I have all of the books except there's two that I'm missing. They're two westerns, and I'll mention those later. They're not anything special. It's just they happen to be run-of-the-mill westerns. They published a lot of westerns along with crime. Westerns were popular. The thing about westerns were read to death and passed around, and usually were destroyed or thrown out. Good crime and mystery paperbacks and science fiction paperbacks usually were saved by the readers, and those are sometimes more, even in the rarer books, they're more common because they're around, because people, there's a demand for them, but also there's a supply, and some of the books are, some of them are a little scarce. So without further ado, I'm just going to take a look at the spines. Here again, they have the distinctive, beautiful yellow spines on the gold medals. I collect from basically number 100, where the book started off, 99 and 100, and 101 was the first numbered book. And in episode 56, you'll see those, the first up to number 10, and then we're going to, up to number 110. And we're going to start off with 111 now. So I'm just going to turn these around, put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing, which sometimes can be difficult. And then we're just going to go through some of the gold medal. These are from 1950 and 1951. So we have number 111, The Wild Horse by Les Savage Jr., a Western. Number 112, Your Child and You by Sidonie Gruenberg, nonfiction book about children, family life. Kind of not the usual, what you'd think of as gold medal. Number 113 is The Violent Ones by Howard Hunt. Great crime novel, great good girl art. Howard Hunt was E. Howard Hunt, the famous Watergate burglar and all of that stuff. But forgetting about the political part of it, he was a CIA agent and a spy and a person who was involved in a lot of clandestine activities from World War II on until the 60s. And he wrote about it in his crime novels, of which there were probably 50 or 60 or 70 of them. And he also wrote, as Robert Dietrich, a great series of books. And he really wrote some terrific stuff. His stuff is really good. 114, again, these are from 1950, is No Business for a Lady by James L. Rubel. Rubel. And this is the story of Ellie Donovan. This is one of the first, actually, female private eye novel from 1950, paperback original. And she's the first female private eye. And it's interesting, a key book in that genre of female private eyes that later on in the 70s, 80s, and 90s would be very popular with V.I. Warshawski and Sarah Paretsky and all of their books, and everybody else that was writing books about female private eyes. But this was the first one, Ellie Donovan by James L. Rubel, No Business for a Lady, from 1950. Number 115 is Help Wanted for Murder by William L. Rhodey. And it's a classic murder mystery novel. Rhodey wasn't really a hard-boiled guy, but he wrote some good stuff. Number 116 is The Slaughtered Lovelies by Don Stanford. This is the second printing. First printing is the same cover art. And this is about sports cars and crime, mixes it together. It has a really nice cover. Number 117, The State Department Murders by Edward Rons. And Edward Rons was Edward A. Aarons. This is a paperback original from 1950. It's been reprinted many times. Good hard crime, private eye novel, spy kind of novel. He was a really good writer, and he would go on to write, it escapes me what series it was, but he wrote a famous series, 4 gold medal books, that was a spy crime series. Number 118, The Goldfish Murders by Will Mitchell. Meet a cop who can trap a killer or bait a beauty. It's The Goldfish Murders. Number 119 is The Tormented by Theodore Pratt. It's a paperback original from 1950. I don't know who did the covers on a lot of these books. I assume that probably Barry Phillips did many of them, but there's a lot of artists that did work on gold medal books, and they're pretty interesting. The other thing is, like The Tormented, there's a fifth printing from 1951, has the same number, but it's got a different cover, variant cover. That's the fifth printing from 1951 of The Tormented by Theodore Pratt. So I'm going to put that over here. And we're going to continue with The Man Who Said No by Walt Grove, number 120. This is the second printing from 1951. It's the same cover as the first printing. A few of these I have second printings on, but most of them are paperback originals, and I have the first printing. Now we get to a Western. This is probably the first, I believe the first Western. The Desperado by Clifton Adams, number 121. One Wild Oat by McKinley Cantner. It's number 122, and I believe the cover art is by Bennett. So it's signed down here. Bruno Fischer was a great guy and a great crime writer. He wrote a lot of books, some originals for gold medal books, and also Dell and other companies reprinted a lot of his hardcover books. And he was also a guest at my book show in Manhattan for the first few years, and just a really sweet, nice gentleman, and a great writer. And his first book for gold medal paperback original was House of Flesh, number 123, and it's the first edition paperback original with the mean, nasty dog cover. And then they second printing from 1951, same number, but different cover art. The cover art is signed, but I can't read it. A big money book in the line is 124, The Brass Cupcake by John D. MacDonald. It's a hard-boiled, hard crime murder mystery. I believe it's his first novel, and it's one that's eagerly sought after. It can run a pretty penny. Number 125, The Obsessed by Gertrude Schweitzer. Number 126, Dallas by Will F. Jenkins. Will F. Jenkins was Murray, the real name of the science fiction writer who wrote under the name Murray Leinster. And this is Dallas has a Gary Cooper and Ruth Roman cover. This is a movie tie-in from 1950 with the Gary Cooper movie, Dallas. Will F. Jenkins wrote the novelization, and Gary Cooper, Ruth Roman, and you can see that the movie tie-in information there. Richard S. Prather was a creator of Shel Scott. He wrote the Shel Scott books for Gold Medal Books. Shel Scott was a funny kind of cool, lighthearted crime mystery private eye, always chasing the women and the women chasing him. And I think this is the first case of Shel Scott, Case of the Vanishing Beauty, which is number 127, and it's from 1950. And this was inscribed and signed to me by Richard Prather, who I knew and I was friends with, and I actually reprinted some of his earlier books. So there's the up to number 127. We're going to move these aside and get to the next stack. Number 128, The Three Secrets by Margaret Lee Runbeck. There's another movie tie-in, and it's Eleanor Parker, Patricia Neal, and Ruth Roman again. Number 129 is, this is a great one, Mansion of Evil by Joseph Millard. And it's something new, a complete novel in words and pictures, a thrill on every page. And what this is a color comic book. It's the novel Mansion of Evil in color comics. Fawcett Fawcett Publications published a lot of comic books, and I don't know if this is a compilation of one of their books or some of their comics, one of their series maybe, or what the story is on it. But it's the only one that they did. It's a really cool, really nice book, and it's really hard to find in nice shape and quite pricey. This will set you back quite a bit. Man of Parts is by Vivian Connell, is number 130. Another noir kind of sexy sleaze book. Number 132 is Woman's Barracks by Tereska Torres, and the frank autobiography of a French girl soldier, and artwork is by Barry Phillips. And this is probably the first lesbian novel, or a novel of lesbian interest that Gold Medal published. They would later on publish books by Mary Jane Meeker as Vin Packer, and as Mary Jane Meeker. They would also publish books by Anne Bannon and others that were overtly lesbian books, and they would publish some gay male books. They would publish a lot of different kinds of things, but this is, I believe, the first of the lesbian-related books that they published. Next one is 133, is Cat's Paw Ordeal by Edward Rons. And Again, Edward S. Aarons, Edward A. Aarons is making another entry in the series. There are two books that I don't have here. I should just mention them now, since I just passed by. Some people may notice I put number 132 and 133, and I didn't talk about 131. 131 is Guns at Broken Bow by William Heumann, and that's one I don't have, so that's not being shown. And the next to last book that we're going to show tonight is number 149, Gunsmoke Reckoning by Joseph Chadwick. That's another book that I do not have. So those two, 131 and 149, are two books I'm not going to be able to show and I don't have. They're both Westerns, and there's nothing special or rare about them. They're just maybe a little offbeat or a little harder to find. And because they're Westerns, I didn't sometimes concentrate on those. I concentrate on the ones of interest of me, science fiction and exploitation books, and of course all kinds of crime. So those are the ones that I like and I collect. So sometimes a Western will fall through the cracks, so to speak. Number 134 is Hell Bent for Danger by Walt Grove. Great title, great cover. Walt Grove wrote some pretty good mysteries. He wrote some books for Dell. Number 135 is the Bar Guide by Ted Shane, and cartoons by VIP. And it's a crazy drinking, crazy cartoon book cover about from articles from True Magazine about drinking, mixing drinks, and all kinds of things related. It has cartoons by VIP, and there'll be some other books in the Gold Medal series that collect cartoons by VIP. Another good one in the series is number 136, Savage Bride by Cornell Woolrich, paperback original. Really nice book, hard to find. War Bonnet Pass by Logan Stewart is number 137, early Western. Beautiful cover art. Some of the Westerns really have great cover art. I mean, all of these have great cover art for what they're supposed to be. I mean, this is a humor cartoon book. Cover art's terrific. I mean, it's just like wild stuff. Savage Bride, noir, crime, thriller, suspense, perfect, and a beautiful Western image. I like this style. And then there's great covers, and there's great titles too. Number 138, The Corpse That Walked by Octavius Roy Cohen. Hard-boiled crime novel, great cover art, and a great title. Octavius Roy Cohen wrote a bunch of great original novels for Gold Medal books, and then a lot of his earlier pulp stuff was reprinted by Popular Library. A lot of them with great Belarsky covers, and also Dell books reprinted a lot of his earlier hardcovers. Next one is 139, Stolen Woman by Wade Miller. An early Wade Miller was a team of two writers who wrote as Wade Miller, and this is one of their early books. The first one, I believe, in the Gold Medal series. Number 140, another Western again, Gunfighter's Return by Leslie Ernenwine. Kind of a traditional, typical Western, almost like a Gary Cooper-ish kind of cover. The school marm, good girl Western woman with the upright good guy trying to help her out or save her, and still got the gun in his hand, ready to defend her. kind of a traditional Western image. Charles Williams is a great author of crime noir suspense. And number 141, he wrote Hill Girl, 141 by Charles Williams. Barry Phillips cover. Great rural country noir. Girl in the hills, and she's causing all kinds of trouble because everybody wants her, and she's so beautiful. Number 142 is A Jewel of the Java Sea by Dan Cushman, one of the classic great early gold medal covers. Dan Cushman was a Montana writer who wrote a lot of great crime noir books, and I believe this is his first or earliest one for gold medal. Number 143, The Chinese Keyhole by Richard Himmel. This is paperback original, 1951. Number 144, Winchester Cut by Mark Sabin. Death walked the valley of the thief, and guns spoke from the ridges. Hard-boiled Western, original. Number 145, High Red for Dead by William L. Rhodey. Murder, more murder, and a runaway redhead in a nudist camp. You can't make that stuff up. That's what the blurbs are promising the prospective male book buyer. And in these days, most of the paperback readers and buyers were male, and these books were marketed with the cover art and the titles and the contents toward young men, because young men were the ones that bought paperback books generally. Women in those days, in the 40s and 50s, usually bought books at a bookstore, and they bought hardcover books. They bought books that was more literature, that was more acceptable for reading, things like that. And it was the men that bought the more risque stuff because they liked that. They liked the cover art images, and that's what sold the books. But murder, more murder, and a runaway, and a runaway redhead in a nudist camp. That's got to get a guy's interest, especially if he's back from the war, or back from World War II, or back from Korea, and he's looking for something good to read. So, High Red for Dead by William L. Rhodey might fit the bill. Number 146, Roll the Wagons by William Heumann. Another Western. It's the cover art is signed down here, but I can't make it out. Another classic Western. The second, Shel Scott, number 147, Bodies in Bedlam by Richard S. Prather, from 1951. And here's Shel Scott at the hotel with a woman, and he's looking at her nude photos. Some kind of extortion or blackmail racket going on. Number 148 is again Bruno Fisher, and it's The Lady Kills. He's got a whip, but she's got a shotgun pointed at him, so you know who's going to come out on top on this, and ain't going to be the guy with the whip. Again, number 149 I don't have. That's Gunsmoke Reckoning by Joseph Chadwick, a Western. So that I don't have. I can't show you. But we're coming to the end of the line here now for these gold medals, at least for this episode. Number 150, Come Murder Me by James Kiernan. Great Barry Phillips cover art. He hired a killer to kill himself. Yeah, it's all right. So there you go. Some a look at the first 50 of the gold medal books. Yeah, Episode 56 had the first 10, and this is the next 40, so we're up to number 150, and next episode we'll continue with 151, maybe doing another 50 or maybe 100. Just to show these, I don't have all the gold medal books. I collect them up to 500. But I have most of them, and I certainly have all the key ones. So just wanted to share these with you. I hope you enjoy looking as much as I did showing them to you, and enjoy a gold medal book. They're great reads. There are a lot of them, most of them all are paperback originals, at least in the early ones, and then Gold Medal also reprinted their books many times later on, 5 or 6 or 7 printings, sometimes with new cover art, usually with new numbers. But these early ones are really special, and they're really the ones that made the publisher successful. Ed Gorman was a great fan of gold medal books. He wrote a few articles for me in Paperback Parade about gold medals. When he was young, he talks about how he used to buy them off the newsstand and read them and enjoy them. And it's just like to kind of mention Ed in there. He passed away a few years ago, but he was a good guy. He did a lot of good for a lot of people, and he was a gold medal fan. And there's people that are gold medal collectors also, they're all great people. They love these books, and because they're great books. So I just hope you enjoy this. Thanks a lot. Give us a thumbs up. Let everybody know about this channel and subscribe. And see you next time. Thank you.